Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 13 of Dirtmasters Unplugged, the fusion tuning series between Dirtmasters and Special Projects, where we take a donor car which typically isn't used for rallying and turn it into a custom from the ground up rally spec machine. And in this episode we've taken the classic Dodge Challenger and turned it into, of course, a Rallycross style machine. Not as much power as you might expect to have in a muscle car, mainly because, being of course rear wheel drive, you don't want to be just constantly wheel spinning. So it's optimized to get as much grip as you can with the rear wheel drive, and it actually makes a surprisingly good rally spec machine. So visually I haven't really done much to it. I've just fitted obviously white paint, of course, and the chin splitter at the front. So we'll go straight to the garage for the mechanical setup and then out to the track to see how it performs. So for the mechanical setup on this particular model, you want your dirt tyres, of course, or snow tyres. It is very competitive on both. Racing brakes, of course. For suspension, we've got the ride height as high as possible. Springs we've increased to 9 and 7. Dampers and anti-roll to 4. Neutral camber and tow, which is kind of unusual for a rear-wheel drive rally model, but it actually handles very well. For the gearbox, we've got an auto setting of 180. Then for the individual gears, we've rounded them off to 2330, 1515, 1080, 800 and 640 with a final drive of 3.5. For the diff, low initial torque to reduce wheel spin, high acceleration and low braking. As far as power, we do have an oil change. And then as far as the power upgrades, obviously this isn't based on a real car, so this can be completely tailored to what you need it to do, whatever PP you need, whatever power you need. In my case, I wanted it to have enough power to be a good rally car, but not so much that you're constantly fighting against wheel spin. So I decided on 500 horsepower. As it happens, it sits at 530 PP, of course, but that's just the power that I went for. Obviously, just go for whatever you need. So we've got the sports computer, the sports cat, and intake tuning, and then reduce the power down to 99.1. And we have the full weight loss package. And interestingly, this car already has a 50-50 weight split, so you don't need to add any ballast for that. And as you can see, it sits quite nicely at 530 pp. So a relatively simple setup for this car. So now let's finally go out to the dirt track to see how it performs. Now overall, of course, you wouldn't generally use a muscle car as a rallying machine. Some people do, but in general most people wouldn't really even think of using a muscle car for a rally car, because it seems to have everything that you don't want in a rally car. They're generally very heavy, rear-wheel drive, very large and cumbersome, and huge amounts of torque, which isn't really what you want in a rally car because it just causes wheel spin. But they're actually a lot better than some people might think. Now, unlike many of my Dirtmasters tunes, I have actually had the opportunity to race this particular build in an online race against real opponents. More than one online race, in fact, both on this track and a couple of other dirt tracks, and also a couple of snow tracks. And I have to say, it's very competitive, despite the fact that I was up against opponents which were also using muscle cars, all of which had more power than me, in some cases more than double the power. This car still kept up with them easily, because whereas they had, say, 8, 9, 1,000 horsepower, this car only has 500 to deal with. So it doesn't wheel spin anywhere near as much. It's not trying to crash anywhere near as much or flip the tail out uncontrollably. It handles really well. It's very easy to drive. And it's also really fun, which is obviously important for these builds. You want the cars to be enjoyable and competitive, and to try and get a balance of both. And this car really does that. Now, it's no Pikes Peak machine, of course, and you could always give it a bit more power to obviously make it quicker on the straights. But overall, you do want to be careful how much power you fit to this car, because eventually you will just start to wheel spin, and having so much power will start to lose its effectiveness. But overall, if you decide to fit this tune to your Challenger, I hope you find it fun, and it's definitely competitive, so I would encourage people to use it when you get the chance for rallying. And that's it for this build, so I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.